Welcome, dear viewer, to the dazzling world of Tudor England, a place where the men were tall, the tempers short, and the dynasties, let's just say, a little messy. Today we meet one of the most famous kings in history, Henry VIII, the 17-year-old prince who inherited a kingdom, had a massive ego and a flair for making history in all the wrong ways. But before he became the king who broke England's biggest institution, he was, quite ironically, seen as the Golden Hope, the knight in shining armour who would save the day. Oh, Henry VIII, let's first find out how he earned his royal most accomplished prince badge before the carnage began. Picture this, it's April, 1509. Henry VII, the Tudor who actually managed to bring peace after decades of civil war, croaks from tuberculosis. Not exactly the cheeriest way to say goodbye, but the country breathed a sigh of relief. The old miser was gone, and in stepped his son, Henry VIII, 17 years old, broad-shouldered, and apparently so handsome that even the Venetian ambassador called him the handsomest prince ever seen. I mean, he was basically the medieval version of a sports car, sleek, fast, and built to impress. He stood a whopping 6 feet 2 inches tall, just like his father. For context, in the 16th century, that's tall enough to intimidate a whole room of courtiers holding goblets of wine. His auburn hair was stylishly French, his cheeks rosy, and his eyes fired up with a kind of youthful energy that screamed, "I'm here to party or rule," but probably both. Now, if you're imagining a pious, brooding scholar, stop right there. Early Henry was all about being the Renaissance man-lover of justice, admirer of knights and chivalry, and a sucker for flattery. Erasmus, the great humanist, wrote to his friends in sheer excitement that Henry was a divine character and a hero. Honestly, if Henry had a dating profile, it had read, "Likes long walks through Westminster, jousting and reading Aquinas." But there was a catch. Our young Henry was a show-off. He loved the spotlight, adored compliments, and was as high-strung as a fiddler on a roof. Decision-making, he'd sleep on it and then stubbornly insist he was right no matter what. Cardinal Wolsey famously warned courtiers, "Be well advised what ye put in his head, for ye shall never pull it out again." Translation, don't feed the ego, it bites back. You might be surprised to hear Henry was no dummy. He was a proper bookworm, fluent in Latin, French and English, and even dabbled in Greek, before abandoning it for reasons we can only guess were too busy or too much homework. He loved philosophy, astronomy. Seriously, he owned an astrolabe, and had a passion for map-making that would make any modern cartographer weep with joy. Yet, he wasn't just a nerd with spectacles. Oh no, Henry was a man's man. Jousting, archery, hunting, early forms of tennis, you name it. At 8 years old, he was already mastering the gentlemanly sports that every self-respecting Renaissance prince was expected to excel at. So, yes, he could have probably schooled you at tennis while debating Aristotle, all without breaking a sweat. But here's where it gets interesting and a little dark. Despite all his talents, Henry's father treated him like a precious Fabergé egg. The poor boy was confined so strictly he might as well have been a medieval prisoner. No royal duties, no interaction with the public, no unsupervised walks outside the palace. Apparently his father was so scared of losing a fourth son that he kept his heir locked away like a secret weapon. The rumours even say he hated his son. And they didn't get along so much so that once it looked like dear old dad might have tried to kill him. All this overprotection probably explains why young Henry was a bit of a wild-card idealistic, yet impulsive. With a thirst for power he was denied as a prince. Henry's early education was impressive. Tutored by colourful figures like the eccentric poet John Skelton, who, by the way, was basically the court's first troll, writing nasty satires about the corruption he saw. Skelton warned Henry to choose a wife for yourself, prize her always and uniquely. Spoiler alert. Henry was not great at following that piece of advice. He also had a formidable grandmother, Lady Margaret Beaufort, a devout scholar and pious woman who ran the household with an iron fist and a hair shirt for good measure. She instilled a religious seriousness in Henry, although later on the king's approach to religion was more creative editing than strict devotion. By the time Henry VII died in 1509, this 17-year-old was ready to take the throne, or so everyone thought. His charisma was magnetic, his intellect sharp, and his presence commanding. The nation rejoiced, expecting a golden era. And for a short while, Henry was all charm and promise. But we all know what came next. The egotism, the temper tantrums, the 6 marriages, the Reformation, the beheadings, which is why our Henry is going to be having a number of videos following his life. Yes, dear viewer, we do indeed have a lot of ground to cover with this one. Now, viewer, what did we learn today? That Henry VIII began life as the perfect prince, tall, handsome, clever, and loved by all. That even the greatest kings can be overprotected and misunderstood sons, locked away by fathers too scared to let go. And finally, that beneath all the charm and promise lurked a volatile soul, destined to shape history in ways no one could predict. Comment below if you noticed any Easter eggs, and as always, follow for more history drenched in sarcasm and dread.